All of us have projects around the house periodically that we want to get done. This program, Fix It Man, looks at various kinds of projects, some small, some big, that all of us have around the house. I'm Cliff Brock. Let's see what kinds of projects we can work on today. And this summer, Mid and I did a project that we thought we'd share with you. It's not really a travel project, although it's our place up in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. We took a space in the downstairs of our house there, and we had built a garage for the boat and the truck, and we decided we would take that empty space in the house and do something different with it. This video shows you what we did that's pretty doggone different. This is where we were when we started. It's basically a 1.5 car garage connected to the house at the bottom of the stairwell that goes up to the main level of the house. It was pretty cluttered. It didn't have room for both my boat and the truck, so we decided we would make some space for those things. And this is where we ended up. It's a far cry from a cluttered garage. This video will take you through how we got from here to here. Stay with us. Now, I grant you the garage is a cluttered place, but it's been fairly helpful over the years. Going from that, we got some lumber, and we got ready to go. I do want to share with you that I've got some extra tips that we'll put in at the end of this video. One of the first things we had to do was get what's called a ram set. You're seeing it here. What it does is it takes this contraption, and you put the equivalent of a .22 caliber shell in here. It's not really, but it fires like one, and a nail in this end. You take that, put it down where you want the nail to be set in the concrete, hit it with a hammer, and it drives the nail. That's what put in all these furring strips. These are 1x4 white pine, I think, maybe poplar or something. I'm not even sure, but they're up against the cement wall, and that's what gives us the backer that we'll have for the sheetrock to be nailed to. It also gives you a 3/4 inch clearance to run any wiring that you want in that wall. When the furring is done, the next thing you'll do is lay out the plate on the bottom, on the floor. It is critical that these corners be 90-degree corners. Your flooring guy will catch up with you if you don't, because you'll have a narrowing or a widening strip. So you lay out the wall, put the plate down, and then start putting the studs in to frame the wall. You'll notice that this runs the entire length of the wall, although there's a 9-foot dip in that wall for a home entertainment center, and we'll show a little more on that in just a bit. This video is billed as being a project for people with middling carpentry skills, and you can see here that framing a wall is nothing all that complex. You stand them up, keep them 16-inch centers. You can see here I'm framing around the furnace, framing around the what is now workroom, but will later become a hobby room in this kind of jumbled area here. And you can also see a little bit here of the 9-foot niche that will be for a home entertainment center that will go into the actual den. Note that I've carefully framed around this the electrical main panel. I believe you need 3 feet between that panel and a wall, so that makes a little niche. It's a nice hideaway spot for the electric panel. It worked out very nicely because that's, as you face it from the room side, about 4 or so feet from the niche that the home entertainment center will sit in. This ductwork that you see here is the main trunk for the heating and cooling system, which worked out very nicely. I'm going to have an HVAC guy come in and run a couple of vents into the new room. But it is a problem child, because I don't want to have to raise that the 8 or 10 inches that it would take to get it above the ceiling level. So we'll see a little later in the video how I worked around that, made it, instead of being a problem, make it a nice item. There on the left side of that doorway, just below the light, that'll be framed in and become sort of a pseudo hallway that will lead you from the door out into the room. Once the back back wall was framed in, the doorway put in so you could get into the house. The next big chore was to get the garage door out. You can see it here. That all has to come out and all the trappings with it. And to the left of the garage door, we'll cut an opening for a new 36-inch exterior door so we have a way of getting out onto the patio area from the room. With the garage door out, I could fill in. It was easy with that header. All I had to do was put some studs in place and then set the windows. We wanted to have some good light in the room downstairs, so we put in 3 windows. You can see here they're sort of framed in, and we've got one to go, but it's coming along. And we could also start to think about getting it sided and finished out from the outside. With the windows set, we could turn our attention to the wall here, get it closed in. We laughed. That little sliver that you see there was sort of our slide hole to get in and out of the room until we got the door, which you can see there on the left. That will have a 36-inch opening cut to the outside to give us outside access. Well, I couldn't find anybody to get my door in a timely way. I was just going to hire it done, but it looks as though I'm going to be doing this one myself, so I got the sheetrock off. What I'll do, I've got a stud right here. I'll put a trimmer stud, put the header across the 37.5 inches that it takes to put the door in, and once the header is in, cut the siding on the outside, open the up, cut the bottom plate out, then that door will sit right in that void. So this should not be a terrible... Well, the process has started. I've got the sheetrock off, and now I'll be cutting the hole to put the door in right here. Move that light over a little bit, so that when you walk in the room, that's what you'll see. With the door in and the windows set, and not a little bit of light coming in around the doors until we get sided and insulated, we had the wall pretty well closed up. We put some foam up in the opening before we put the siding on, keep the critters out. With the outside closed up, we turned our attention to the outside. All you have to do on this lap siding is pry the bottom loose. If you have a Sawzall, that's good. Saw the nails off, take out the pieces of siding that you don't plan to use, and you're ready to start siding. This is a shadow box effect around the doors and windows. I had not seen that, but fortunately we had the rest of the house to use as a model so we could see what we were going to do. The next step on this outside is just to get the siding back on so we can see what things are going to look like, and then we'll get some paint on it. Once the siding was on, it started to really look like a finished product. Of course, it needs some paint and a lot of the clutter cleared away. There's some pieces to add and some trim pieces ripped. Table saw is very helpful here to do these sorts of things. But the siding turned out well. It looks like it matches, and once it's painted, it really will show up as being a continuous siding job. We were really keen on having it not look like anything had been added, that it was from the beginning construction. Once we got it cleared away, it's all ready to paint, and it starts to look pretty good. With the siding in place and the detritus out of the way, we painted it and got the impact that we wanted. We wanted to have the left side and the right side kind of match up. Of course, until we get the white door painted red to match the original door, it won't look quite the same. But the back of the house from the outside, save the white paint, is now finished, and we're ready to concentrate on the inside looking at sheetrock. I'll digress here for a minute on the remodel and talk a little bit about design philosophy. This space that we're creating the den in was a garage. And many times when you do a garage to living space conversion, it looks just like that. So we were very, very interested in making sure that the finished basement of the house looked like that, a finished basement that we had gone in and sheetrocked and made a living space. Now, you might not notice it, but if you see that brown header above the new room, and then when you go to the right from that, there's no header. So I'll take 2x10s to match that header and run them all the way across the right there to wipe out any visual impression of this having been a garage. This ends part 1 of our video for today. I promised you an extra during this part 1 of the video of the den build and the cabin and the Blue Ridge Mountains of Georgia. It's a tool list. Now, please understand, I've done projects much, much more complex than this one without nearly the tools that I show on this list. This is an ideal. If you have all these tools, they certainly will come in handy as you work on the project, but if you don't, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you can level, cut, saw, and nail, this project can be done pretty easily. Good luck. Join us as we come to part 2, and we'll get that up shortly so that you can see the finished project and what we did on the last of the second half of the project. It took about 6 weeks. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us today on Fix It Man. Look for our next episode, and as always, be sure to click like and subscribe. I'm Cliff Brock. Until next time.